You're walking through Dublin on your way to work or something, you glance over at a bridge and there's one word that's sprayed across it, Evoke. A few minutes later, you pass an electrical box, Evoke. You hop on a train and look out the window. There's that same name again. Different spot, same letters. Then you head to another city, maybe Cork, maybe Galway, and somehow it's there too. After a while, you start asking yourself the same question that thousands of other people have asked over the years. Who the hell is Evoke? What does it mean? Because if you spend any time around Ireland, you'll almost definitely seen the name. Once you notice it, you can't stop seeing it. You know, for years it's been painted across bridges, abandoned buildings, you name it, making Evoke one of the most recognizable graffiti names in that country. Here's the strange part. Almost nobody actually knows who the person is behind it. Just these letters that have become a part of Ireland's urban landscape. Because unlike musicians or athletes or influencers, graffiti writers aren't usually trying to become famous as a person. It's more about the name. And that's exactly what Evoke managed to do in Ireland. If you're not familiar with graffiti culture, it can seem almost a little confusing. Why would someone spend years painting the same word over and over again? Isn't that repetitive? Well, actually that's the point. Graffiti has always been built around one simple idea, and that's the recognition of the word. The more people see your name, the stronger your reputation becomes. It doesn't matter if someone likes it, doesn't matter if they hate it. If they remember the name, you've already achieved something. That's why experienced graffiti writers often spend years developing one signature name and sticking with it. And by default, changing your name usually means that you're starting all over again. But Evoke has committed to that name for years. And according to Dublin graffiti publication magazine, Evoke became so active around the city that it was almost impossible to walk through Dublin without seeing the name somewhere. That's an incredible level of consistency, because anyone can paint one wall, but very few people can keep showing up for years without disappearing. One of the biggest reasons people are fascinated by Evoke is because there isn't much information online available. Search online and you'll mostly find photographs of the graffiti itself. You'll find people asking questions, you'll find discussions on forums, you'll find photography in general, but what you won't find is a detailed biography. And that's quite intentional. For some traditional graffiti writers, that's a part of the culture, not being known personally. For obvious reasons, people painting illegally don't usually volunteer their identities. Instead, they let their work speak for them. And in Evoke's case, the work speaks incredibly loud. If you look closely at Evoke's graffiti, you probably notice another set of letters nearby, EDS. Those three letters represent a graffiti crew. Think of a crew as being similar to a team. Graffiti writers often paint together, travel together, and support one another, building reputation both as individuals and a collective. Just like famous graffiti crews in New York, London, Paris, Irish crews have had their own history and reputation. While the exact meaning of EDS has never been publicly confirmed by the crew itself, the initials have become closely associated with Evoke's work and are recognized throughout the Irish graffiti scene. And I'm sure anyone watching from Ireland probably knows roughly what it stands for. In graffiti culture, being respected as a crew can sometimes carry just as much weight as being respected as an individual writer. And over the years, Evoke and EDS have become names that almost every Irish graffiti fan has heard of. But here's what makes the story impressive. It's not just where Evoke has painted, it's about how often. And that's where people start to say that Evoke took over Ireland with the graffiti. At this point, you might be thinking, surely there's loads of graffiti writers in Ireland, so why is everyone talking about Evoke? And that's a fair question, because Ireland has no shortage of talented writers. Every city has its own local legends, its own styles, and its own history. So what made Evoke stand out? Obviously that answer has already really kind of been answered already, but it's just the consistency. And if for some reason you're new here, in graffiti there's a phrase you'll hear over and over again, and that is getting up. If you're outside the graffiti world, that phrase probably doesn't mean much, but to graffiti writers, it's everything. Getting up simply means you're getting your name seen, and the goal is quite simple. You make your name impossible to ignore by just anyone. Think about famous company logos. You don't remember them because you saw them once. You remember them because you've seen them thousands of times, and they're easily recognizable. Graffiti works in a similar way, depending on what the graffiti writer's goal is. Of course, being everywhere also means attracting attention from people who aren't fans. Graffiti has always divided opinion. The subculture loves it. To everyone else, it's vandalism and an eyesore. Just like every other graffiti, Evoke's work sits right in the middle of that debate. There's another side of the story that often gets overlooked. For most people, graffiti is something they notice only for a few seconds before moving on. But for graffiti writers, it's almost like a citywide conversation. Every tag, every throw up, every piece becomes a part of an ongoing dialogue between graffiti writers. One graffiti writer paints a wall, another paints nearby. Crews leave their marks, new names appear, older names disappear. The landscape is constantly changing. The fact that Evoke has remained visible through all those changes says quite a lot. The graffiti scene evolves quite quickly. People move away, they stop painting, some lose interest, others transition into legal work or commercial mural projects, but certain names seem to survive every generation. And in Ireland, Evoke is one of those names. By now, it's probably pretty obvious that Evoke isn't just another name on a wall. Evoke is well known, and that's probably why you're watching this video. If you are watching this video, thank you very much for watching. I make videos very similar to this, a bunch of different graffiti related content. If you're interested, definitely consider watching some of my videos. If not, that's all good. Have a great day and have a good one. Also, check this out. A few months back, I featured in a podcast done by my friend. It's filmed and recorded pretty well. I'll leave a link in the description below to check that out if you want to hear about more behind the scenes of Youfo. We touch on a bunch of different subjects like early influences, gaming in general, first experiences, LA stories, the origins of Youfo. We talk about music. We even play some video games. You name it. It's an all-round good podcast episode. I highly recommend you guys listen/watch, or just generally want to listen to something as you're drawing or whatever you want. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day and have a good one.